Hello YouTube, welcome back to my kitchen table. Just a quick little word today on a projector that I recently went through. Another one of these, I couldn't find very many details on the internet about this. Comparable projectors, yes, but this specific one, it's being sold on Amazon, and I couldn't find a lot of information. So I thought I'd give you my thoughts here on this projector here. The one in question is going to be, and you can help me pronounce this if you can get it right. It's the Goiaey. Okay, best I can come up with is the Goiey, Goiaey. I don't know. It's on Amazon, listed as an 1800 ANSI 4K projector with Netflix and Amazon Prime. Its list price is $299, so just $300. Currently for $263 on a sale. It's probably on sale a lot. The other projector that I've got here is something to compare it to. This is a very much more popular projector. This one is the Aurzen Boom Mini. That one's being listed on Amazon as a 500 ANSI projector. It boasts 20-watt speakers, which is one of its selling features. It's a Google TV projector with a bevy of applications, including Netflix, Amazon, Disney, and others, and you can select which ones you want on it. This one is listed at $499, so $200 more, or almost twice as much as this Goiey projector. Currently on sale with Prime days for $339. So even at 32% off, it's still more expensive than the other one here. Okay, so I have that one to compare this one to, and they're very similar in a lot of respects. I'm not really talking about the Aurzen too much in this case. That one's been reviewed ad infinitum on YouTube already. This one was a mystery to me, the Goiey. The story behind these is I'm actually returning the Goiey right now in favor of having gotten the Aurzen. And I want to discuss the reasons why, because it really only boils down to one single reason. Okay, and we'll get to that in a minute. So first off, it's worth mentioning that the Goiey does supposedly boast 1800 lumens, which is substantially more than the 500 out of the Aurzen. It does appear to be brighter. They both come with remote controls. The Goiey has a very similar remote control to the Aurzen. The Aurzen's is the slightly larger of the two there. They're very similar. They've got shortcuts for app buttons. They've got circular buttons, and the Aurzen's just a little bit bigger. There's nothing wrong with the Goiey remote. Honestly, it works fantastic. It is an RF transmitter, but you don't actually have to point it right at a sensor on the projector. It'll bounce around the room pretty good. Whereas the Aurzen is a Bluetooth remote, and my experience with PlayStation remotes that are Bluetooth is the batteries tend to die a lot faster because it's always connected and it seems to be using the battery to stay connected all the time. RF transmitter remotes batteries last a little longer, so that might actually be a selling feature for the Goiey, and that's not going to be the only ones. Another feature of the Goiey versus the Aurzen is, as we turn the Goiey around, I can see where the AC cord plugs into the back. It plugs into the back of the unit itself. Now, I don't know why a person would do that, but that means that the stand is really just a stand. You could technically remove the projector from the stand if you wanted to, and it would still be powered on. Okay, the Goiey, with its stand and its cord, allows for full mobility all the way up to straight and even back if I wanted to. This means that I can project onto the ceiling. Okay, the stand doesn't get in the way. The stand itself does have a tripod hole on the bottom, so I can mount this on a tripod or put it upside down on a ceiling with that screw. Getting to the Aurzen here, the Aurzen has its AC plug going into the stand instead of into the unit itself, which means that the stand is integral to the unit and can't be dismounted from it. That actually seems like a selling feature for the Goiey for me. It just gives you an option if you wanted it. This also has a mounting screw hole on the bottom of the stand, which is always going to be with the projector. And the cable being there also, and this stand means it's free alone. It can actually does go all the way up and over, and I can project right onto a ceiling with it, and that's what we're going to be doing in a minute. Okay, in terms of their size and their appearance, the Goiey has a little bit more of a plasticky shell feeling to it, like it's maybe not quite as premium a product, okay, but that's just the outside. Whereas the Aurzen does have a little bit more of a solid feel to it. It's got transparent appearance on the back so that you can see the speakers actually projecting out the back, and that feels very well put together. Like so, from a factory appeal put together, the Aurzen definitely takes the cake on that one. The power button on the top of the unit on the Aurzen is one large button, and it has a circular knob around it that you can adjust the volume with. The power button on the Goiaey is just one little press button, which when pressed will turn the unit on. No volume controls or any other controls on that. It's completely reliant on the remote. The size difference, although they kind of look like they're the same size, the Aurzen comes across as being a little bit smaller. And it's small enough that it does feel more compact. It feels more maneuverable. It's easier to lift with one hand, for example, with me and my wing in the sling. The Goiaey is a lot more of a challenge to get off the table. Their weight is close enough that you could call them the same, and there really wouldn't be a comparison between the two. When the Goiaey's button is depressed, it will light up in green. It otherwise displays an LED in the middle that's not a bright red, just with the power symbol showing up in red and then green when you turn it on. The Aurzen actually has an LED that goes around the volume button that is constantly lit up when it's in contact with the remote. It's actually a Bluetooth indicator. And I've seen people complain about the brightness of that LED. So there's no way to turn it off. If it's in your bedroom, that LED will be putting out light. And if it's close enough to the bed, it might actually be bothering you. The solution to that would obviously you'd have to put some tape around it or something like that if you really wanted to cover up that light, but there's nothing you can do about it. So in terms of the speakers, the Aurzen actually boasts 20-watt speakers. It's one of the selling features. I imagine that's why they call it the Boom. You can see those speakers in the back. In a small enclosed space like a bedroom, they actually sound pretty impressive. In a larger area like my kitchen here, a little bit less so. I've got the volume up to 60, 70, and it's just a comfortable amount of volume. Maximum volume would not blow you away. The Goiaey has speakers in the back that are concealed, and my experience is, honestly, they come off pretty well. In terms of the connections, the Goiaey has what you pretty much expect on the back. It's got a couple of USB ins where you could put a Fire Stick or plug a USB of some kind in there. For more applications, it's got two HDMI connections where you could plug in your phone with an HDMI cable or any other device with an HDMI cable. If you plug in a USB with media on it, it should be able to play that media. At least that's what they boast. I haven't put that to the test. The Aurzen on the side has a rubber cover that's actually more difficult to get off than you'd think, and it's covering one HDMI in and two USB ins, as well as an audio jack. So they have pretty much the same connection available to them there. I've run HDMI cable from my cell phone into both of these devices, and in both cases they work just fine and just display what it is that's showing up on your phone screen right through the projector. Super easy. The only other thing to mention about the Aurzen before we go on to look at how the display is that the Aurzen will come with that rubber cover for the lens, which is kind of premium. Keep the dust off of that lens. The Goiaey doesn't come with anything like that. And just has the lens exposed all the time, which means if you were doing a ceiling projection like we're going to be doing in a second, you're going to get some dust in there. So that's worth noting. Both units boast automatic focus and automatic tombstone for the angle. They both have the ability to manually adjust the corners and change the tombstone shape if you're not projecting straight onto the wall, but are projecting at a bit of a side angle. Both have the ability to go into the options and override the automatic settings. And enter your own settings if you're not content with what they're doing. The GUI, when it does its function for the automatic focus and tombstone, displays a circle on the screen, which it uses a sensor to understand and adjust those settings. Whereas the Aurzen does it on the fly while you're watching something. The Aurzen may actually do it without you even realizing it's doing it, and then it just displays some words on the bottom that say that it's done it. You don't even realize it's happening. It can be a little bit of a pain in the butt in that regard because you don't know that the zoom is happening, and so you may have picked up your remote and you're trying to fix the focus and tombstone, and it's already working on it without you even realizing it. When the GUI does it, you know it's doing it. In the GUI's case, it surprisingly only takes about 2 seconds to do, 2 to 3 seconds. Actually, very impressive. Whereas the Aurzen, it'll do it in the background while you're watching a show, and it seems to take a little bit longer. Generally speaking, the Aurzen actually comes off as being a little slow. A lot of the button strikes like volume or opening apps seem to make the device think, and you can tell when it's thinking. It's taking a second, even just hitting the settings button, and it takes a few seconds for the device to respond and go through its process of whatever it is you're asking it to do. Whereas the GUI is actually instantaneous with everything it does. The processing speed on the GUI seems to be a little bit better. In terms of app functionality, the GUI does boast Netflix, and it boasts Prime Video and YouTube. They all have fast buttons on the remote to access them. But when I tried to get, for example, Disney Plus, you couldn't find that in the App Store. And so I had to run Disney Plus off of my cell phone through the HDMI cable into the GUI. The Aurzen has true Google TV, so it does come with a list of apps that you can choose from, which include Netflix, Prime, Crave, and Disney Plus, and a number of others. And you just select the ones that you want to download, and then it'll go through a download process through the Wi-Fi. It's worth mentioning both these devices do access the internet through the Wi-Fi, and it does, in my case, seem to be seamless. I would expect that from the higher priced Aurzen. The GUI does a really good job of accessing the internet. I haven't had any dysfunction with that whatsoever. It gets right in there, opens Netflix in seconds, and you're watching a show, and it seems to be running and streaming that service at a full speed. From the standpoint of changing settings on the go, the GUI is a little bit slower in that regard. Getting into the menu to change brightness settings and to change settings with regard to the screen size, the tombstone, that is a little bit slower. You have to go back to the main menu. There is a settings on the button on the remote, but that'll allow for video and audio and won't be those settings like tombstone and things. Whereas the Aurzen actually allows you to get right into the larger settings that you might want to access more often just by pressing the settings button. And then lastly, I'm going to get into talking really quickly about profiles, whereas the GUI does let you log into all of your Netflix and all that stuff. It doesn't have a quick on-the-fly profile within the device that you can access through the remote, whereas the Aurzen does, and because being Google TV, you can access the device using your Google account, and then if somebody else in your household has a different Google account through a different email and password, then they can have that in there. And a quick button press on the profile button allows you to go back and select which profile you want to use in the device. Here we are in my darkened bedroom, the ceiling being a good surface where I can display both of these projectors at once. The projectors will be 2 meters from the surface, and if I turn on the Aurzen, it will pop up on the right. So there's the power button, Aurzen pops up, and you can see the time it's taking for that to boot up. I'm going to boot up the GUI on the left at the same time now. So it's going to be trailing. You can see that image is quite a bit bigger on the GUI. Aurzen is doing its boot up progress on the right. It's got a head start of probably around 7 or 8 seconds. Google TV, and we're almost there with the Aurzen. The GUI is going to have a turning wheel in a second. The Aurzen is a little bit slow there getting in, and now we're finally looking at our apps list. And the GUI had a little bit of a trailing in its start. You can see the focus on the Aurzen is getting done right now. It gets done in real time while you're looking at the image and the focus on the Goiaey. And there's the focus on the Goiaey done. And both of those finish at about the same time, with the Aurzen having about a 7-second head start. So the Goiaey runs just a little bit faster off the boot up. Maybe it doesn't have as much to do. If I look at the image size here, you can see the scale is quite a bit different, even though the projectors are at the same distance from the ceiling. To make adjustments on the Goiaey, you need to go into the settings and go over to the picture. I'm going to go down to my zoom. There it is, image zoom. And let's bring this down to 66%, give or take, or maybe 70. I just want an apples to apples comparison here. So we're looking at, all right, so let's try going into an app here. We're going to try going into, let's go with Netflix. And on the left, we're going to go on Netflix on the right, and on the left, opens up, roughly the same time to open that. And let's turn down the volume on both sides, and now we can actually see what the images look like. The image on that Goiaey is a little bit washed out, but it is substantially brighter, and that's maybe part of it. So if I were to want to increase the image brightness on the right, I've got a quick menu that I can get access to right here. Bring me into the picture, and I hit the big picture button, and you can see the delay. It's taking a second for it to come up. And brightness is at 50%. The brightness on the Goiaey on the left, I have to access through the picture mode and go into custom. And you'll see the brightness right now is at 100. If we turn that down to 50, it'll not be as washed out anymore. Now we're really looking at sort of an apples to apples comparison. All right, very similar. We're gonna get the shades open here so that we can see what it looks like with some light on. So open the curtains, and we got middle of the day sunlight coming in through the curtains. You can see that the image on the left is substantially clearer with that daylight than the image on the right. So that is, of course, the Goiaey on the left at 50%, and the image on the right is the Aurzen. And just for one last demonstration here, we're going to go back into our settings on the Aurzen, go to the picture, and we'll increase that brightness to 100. See how bright that gets in the daylight. And on the Goiaey on the left, back into our custom settings for the picture, and the brightness can get dialed up. It'll wash out the image a little bit, but it's pretty clear that the Goiaey has a brighter image. And right now it's a more vibrant, nicer colors. It's doing a really good job. And if I wanted to have its actual full size, just like the one on the right, then I'd have to get the zoom back up. And unfortunately, unlike the Aurzen, that means having to come out to my main menu and access the settings from the main menu, because I don't have access to some of the functions in there. Let's go back to the picture, and we're going to finish this up by bringing the zoom back to 100%. So this is just a full normal zoom. And we'll go back into Netflix. And now I'm looking at Dr. Gray in all her splendor here. So it's a really nice image on that Goiaey. And that's gonna, and that there's really no point with a microphone like this to test the audio, but the audios are comparable. The Goiaey's speakers put out a sound that's at least as good, it feels, as the Aurzen. And that'll bring an end to that little demonstration there. All right, so after it's all said and done, you might be wondering why I actually want to return the Goiaey. One single little thing. For whatever reason, this Goiaey projector seems to want to turn on randomly in the middle of the night. And having it in our bedroom, my wife and I, she's been interrupted a few times now where at 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock in the morning, it just turns on. And the only way to turn it off once it has turned on like that is actually to just unplug the unit from the wall. Clearly not a problem that the Aurzen is having. In looking at reviews on Amazon itself, I've spotted one other one-star review where somebody complained about the fact that it was turning itself on at any time during the day. For us, it's done it a half a dozen times in the 2 weeks that we were playing with it before deciding to return it. And so it's just not something I'm willing to put up with. That said, every other function of this device is simplistic and really well put together. The internals, the software is top notch. The projector itself seems to be really good. I have no complaints. It's putting out a really clear image, and a large one at that, larger than the Aurzen, of course, like we saw. But I'm just not willing to put up with the fact that it'll turn on its own. Now, I could return it and try another one, but welcome to Prime Days. All of a sudden, the Aurzen is down in price by almost $200. So I went and bought the Aurzen, and we're going to give that one a shot. But the point of this video is I would not give the Goiaey a one-star review on Amazon or any other place. Quite frankly, I think it would be a 4-star. The fact that it turns on is just something I'm hoping that Goiaey can address. It might be a one-off, but there was one other person on Amazon that gave it a 1-star rating and complained about that. So it's obviously not, I'm not the only person in the world to have that. So it might be a quality control issue. It might be something with the power unit on the inside. But Goiaey they've got a winner here, and they should, for a budget projector, for something where you're trying to save money at almost half the price of the Aurzen here, they should be addressing that power button issue, and they'll have a real winner. I can't speak to the longevity of the unit, but if I were to give it stars out of 5 stars, I'd honestly give it 4.5 out of 5. The power button and the power turning on its own is actually one small thing. It's just one thing that I'm not willing to put up with. And I want people that are considering buying this unit for, like I said, a little more than half the price of this unit to just bear in mind that that might be an issue they have to put up with. And if they do purchase it and it does have that issue where it turns on automatically, then it might be as simple as returning it and getting one that does not turn on automatically from the same company. It might be a one-off or a two-off. So with that, I'm going to bring this video to a close. Hopefully this was informative. Again, don't chastise me for the way I'm pronouncing Goiaey in this case. Have a good day.